Nice, into the fibers. Let me see how close I can get to this thing. Is it focusing? I have an issue with it focusing sometimes. Yeah. So that is a DTF trucker cap. Cue intro. Hello all. Today we will be pressing DTF transfers on trucker caps. And with caps, what you want to do is ensure that you don't have what they're called panels. So I don't know if you can tell, but each one of these represents a panel. So if you're looking for a cap and you see that it says 6 panel, that means there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 panels. But with the trucker caps, there's no seam running down the center, if you can see that. So what this means is that when we go to lay this on the platen, on the heat press platen for the caps, when we go to press, there won't be any sort of seam, because if we were to press, I don't have any out right now, they're all put away. But if we were to press DTF on something that of this material, but it has a seam running down the center, on the sides, we may not get a good adhesion on that when we go to press it. So we will be using the cap press. I don't know if you can see it. But yeah, so this green monstrosity over here, we'll be using the hat press. The press is okay. I kind of like it. There's a couple quirks that I don't like about it. So if you're saying this and you want to buy this press, I'll give you, I guess, a review on it, a mini review while we're pressing and changing the platen out, so that I could show you why I don't like it and why I like it. But it was a great value. It's already earned its keep here at the shop, so we've already gotten an ROI on this. So we're good with that. But let's, before we do these caps or whatever, let's go back to the display here, and we will get the artwork set up. I need to run a power clean on the 7890. I already shook the tanks. I just got here pretty early in the morning. So we're gonna go ahead and get this stuff rolling so that we can do all of the caps, and then we have some dry fits and some more shirts. We already did a video on that, so I don't want to necessarily be redundant. So let's get into it and let's get this done. Okay, so I hope you can hear me. What we will be doing is taking a look at this file. There's a couple of things we need to do first, and I'll show you why we do them. There is a setting in Illustrator where you can actually scale it, and it won't change the stroke. And what I mean by that is, well, I'll get into that in a second, but okay, so now, firstly, let's go ahead and open a new document, or start a new document, and we are going to be setting this up for 23.5 by 36, which would be a yard. I don't even think we'll end up using that. I also need to find out how many caps we ordered. Yes, so I'll need to do that. Yeah, so this will all be organic. So I can't even, it's just how fast we're moving. I think she had 30 or 20 or something. Okay, so here's our artboard. Make sure we are at the same color space is still the same as our artwork here. Yeah, so we're both in RGB. I already told you why. If you saw the recent video, this excavation was straight, and I thought that we were done with the layout, but she ended up confirming the proof later, so she asked me to actually do that. We were going back and forth with that. The 7890 is finished with its power clean, and if you start to hear any clicking in the background, that's actually the large format press that we're curing on at the moment, because we can cure the entire sheet at one time. and it'll be regulating its temperature so it doesn't go into the next phase. Okay, so now uh, we need to select this navy color. Now remember, I had already dialed in my color chart. This is the navy I should use. I only simulated that. Make sure our fill is selected. So select that. That is our true navy color that we'll be using to print with the 7890. And the customer will never see this. So what I'll do is actually come through and let me copy this so you can see what would happen if I were to just scale this down. Watch what happens with the stroke. If I were to just scale this down, for caps, you should be usually on the height no more than 2 3/4 or 2.75 on the height. So I'm just scaling. As I scale this down, I'm looking at the height. So I don't want to go over 2.75, which 2.76 is not bad. Okay, so now look at what happens. So because the stroke is set to, well, this is the entire layout. So let me just click on this, isolate this. The stroke is set to 7 points. So how I would do this is either you could come here and you can play with the stroke, but it's not going to be uh, perfectly the same as our artwork is. So let's highlight all of this. You're going to click and hold, press Alt and Shift and hold, and we'll drag this over. If you're an illustrator, again, if you're not, I can't help that. Okay, so now what we need to do is to, since she's already confirmed this proof and we have our original copy and it's already saved, we're going to expand appearance. And sometimes you'll have to expand appearance again if it doesn't catch the full stroke, but it looks like it did. So now, we'll double click the hand here. And with that, we can now scale this however we want. We can scale it to be that tiny, or actually, let me see, let me select all of this. Okay, it deselected it. So now we can scale this all the way down, which this would be too small for DTF printing. But look at how it kept the scale. This is identical to this in at the same ratio, if that makes sense. It's scaled down, the stroke is scaled down the same ratio. That's just a little nugget if you could use that. So let's go back to the height of no more than 2.75. You can hear the large format press starting to regulate. So it's at temp right now. What did I say? 2.75. I'm getting ahead of myself. So we already switched the color over and the height. 2.75. Okay. So now I'm going to hit Control X and remember, make sure you are in the same color space or you will have an issue on your hands when you go to send this over. You have to print in the same color space that the artwork is designed for. It's going to throw your colors off. Okay, so now we have our layout. Control V. And there's a keyboard command to repeat that step, but I can't remember. I'm not going to search it now. So I'm just going to use the trick I used to use. But there's the keyboard command where after you perform one action, you can come over and repeat that same action. And I don't. Okay, never mind. That was the wrong keyboard. So I won't. I'll find it out. I'll figure it out by the next segment of these, and then I'll just show you how to do it. But essentially, when you can't repeat that same step, you could come over if you wanted this perfectly aligned. Let's say you're doing transfers for a client. What I would do is click and hold shift and drag it over and until the middle one's aligned. Now you can click, still keep alt and shift held and highlight this one. And then now you can delete. So now there is no extra layout behind. And then I would just come over here and do the same thing. Now we have 3. So we are limiting the time that we are spending on doing this. So when they say, oh, no more we have this RIP software, and you don't have to spend the time ganging your sheets. It really doesn't take that long after you learn how to do this. To be honest with you, that's okay if people, the other rips and stuff. And remember, I'm not. I'd love to try CatLink out, but there's a company who mentioned that they would send me these things for free to test out, but we haven't quite gotten to that stage yet, and that's okay. But I'm not going to pay for CatLink just to help people, because that would be the only reason for me to buy CatLink, would be to assist people that have bought it but are having issues with it. So I don't know how many that is. It seems like that's about 9 or 10. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we have 18. Let's go into my Sanmar account here. And it's funny, we happen to be on the trucker caps, but I need to sign in. I'll be doing a video on Sanmar. I tried to contact corporate, so we'll see how this goes. I highly doubt they're going to want the little guy to kind of come in, but I would like to feature their stuff. So whether they what's happening here? So whether they allow me to do this or not. Oh, let's make sure. Oh, okay. My brother must have come in and added this, so maybe he's got some things he wants to order today. So we'll leave this the way it is in case he needs to pick this up. Okay, so we need to go into the order history, and I hope I don't get in trouble uh, by Sanmar for doing this, only because you'll see the rates and stuff. So I probably should have contacted them for that, but we're here. So I think it should be this order. We're going to open another tab just to see. No. Oh, that was for the sweatshirts and everything. So now, yes. So we ordered 30. Okay, so she ordered 30. I always order one extra as a precautionary measure, and worst case, we'll just throw it in the order. So it's I always say it's not that serious. So whether they count them and they say, "Oh, he gave us 31," whether they know it was intentional or not, I don't care. Uh, but it's the value. It's I get more value out of just having an extra one, and then the client appreciating that if they even notice. But it's not something that I would tell her, hey, I threw another cap in there. It's just I don't operate that way. But that's where we are. So let me see here. Okay, what we'll do, um, 31. So I will make 4 rows of these just so we can have some extra, give myself some room to cut. And actually, let's just do all of the caps separately. I could put all of the artwork on there and gang this thing, but I just want to do a video on hats. I don't want to make a 5-hour video again for you guys, because some of you may have only clicked on this just for the hats. So I'll be fair with your time. And the other stuff will probably be on the Patreon anyway for those that actually want to see that stuff. I know everybody doesn't have the time to sit down and watch. Because I don't, to be honest with you, I couldn't sit down and watch my own 4-hour video. Uh, but again, now if there are some people, some YouTubers, or one YouTuber that I would watch because I followed him from the start, I would sit down and watch him for 4 hours if I had the time. Uh, but he's an older guy, monotone, not very entertaining, but you can get some nuggets from his content. So I need to be in the Cardenas folder just so that we are thorough. Uh, Raptor Cardenas. I think I put everything in this folder. Yeah, 2022 logo, 7890. That's for the, okay, that's what we did last time. So 7890 caps. Now we do want to use artboards on this. We don't have to, but I scaled this down. And again, the reason why I do this is because if I didn't, let's say I left this at the 36 inches at the yard that I would usually DTF print at, what would happen is the it would print all 30 whatever 6 it will print all of these layouts, and then it would advance all of that film for a yard, and we would lose that. So that's why I scaled this down a little bit, because I'd rather scale it to a yard and then find out exactly what we need, and then change, set our artboard to fall within those bounds. If you didn't need that information, sorry for wasting your time. Moving forward, use artboards, 7890 caps. We changed our navy color. I'm going through this in my head so I don't make a mistake. Just the things that I planned on doing. Power clean on the 7890. And again, I haven't done maintenance on the 7890 in 4 days. I'm trying to get, this is all so new to me too with the large format. So I'm trying to gauge how often I need to clean the printer, kind of what are the bounds of the printer. So it's at the same time I'm learning, but I'm taking you guys along for the ride. So with that said, let's open up our RIP here. Everything should be connected. Okay. Now let's go to this file, because this is what I did my color test for. I did run one. So this is a print from the 7890. Yeah, so that looks good. I'm proud of all these colors. We still don't have an ICC. Geez, I'm still under the weather a little bit. So we still don't have an ICC, but we will dial these colors in until I take the time to print these targets for our profiler here. So let's right click, open. That's enough talk. Go to let me see. Man, with this new computer, I have a hard time remembering where all of my folders and stuff are. And we want this layout here. And I thought this would be a nice video too. Honestly, I'm so under the gun today because I have so much to do with all of the extra dry fits and the other shirts. I already mentioned that I don't want to deal with that. I'm gonna take this up to 55. Should I? No, I just printed at let's just stick to what we've got. If you, in case you're wondering about my settings, I'm trying to be thorough. But again, like I said, I have a lot to do, but at the same time, I have to stop and record this for you guys. I feel a certain responsibility now because you guys have supported me. So if I'm doing DTF on caps and I haven't shown you that, I've got to stop and take the camera out, and I'll just be here for a while. But that's okay. So let's go to the next panel, which would be the white control panel. And we're setting this. These will be printed fairly small. I think the choke is okay. I could take it in a bit more. No, let's just stick to what we've got. So we'll leave the choke at 3. So in case you're wondering, you don't know what choke is, that this number, the higher this value here in this panel, the higher the value. I don't know if you can see this, but if you can see along the edge of the circle there, the higher this value, the more inward it's going to lay the color down, or the white down behind the color. So as you print small things, let's say we were printing small lettering, you would want probably to change this choke to like 1, maybe even 0 if your alignment's good on your printer, just so that you get enough white behind those letters if they're tiny, if that makes sense. Okay, so again, enough talk. Did we mirror this? Okay, See, I just mirrored that from muscle memory. So let's go ahead and send this over to the 7890. Everything looks good. First print of the day. This stuff is organic. We'll see how this comes out. Okay, so what I want to do is actually show you how well this white is printing. And again, I want to learn how to print with confidence with the 7890. So let's try to trigger this to where it doesn't generate a front cover error. Now this says black ink mismatch, and since I haven't switched the inks around since I had to fix the belt on this thing, which that video will be coming soon, but since I haven't fixed that or done an ink swap on the black, that is the reason why it's showing this error. But if you're experiencing the same thing but you know that your black is in the right channel, you're gonna hit the black ink swap and hit cancel, and it'll send the job right over. Now we're getting the front cover open error now, but that's only because I chose to do this so you could see it. So I have to position these foam swabs to where it triggers this switch. So the printer, okay, that's good, but I have to get down and actually see that. So first print of the day. I want to print with confidence. This is organic. Whatever's gonna happen with this, we will adjust it if necessary. So my methodology behind this is that if this prints and a little bit's faint, I know that, okay, before I do anything, not only do I need to shake the tanks after 4 days, because now I'm trying to stress test this, which is something I don't recommend you do, but I just want to see. So next week I'll come in and I'll wait to do the maintenance every 5 days. So if I can get my maintenance down to once a week on this printer without any sort of issues and errors, because I know what to look for. So let's say this print doesn't come out absolutely perfect on this run. What I know is that I need to go back to 3 days on my maintenance. And I can see a little bit of ink start to build up in the capping station, so I may go back to 3. And if you hear the whirring that you hear, and you'll probably hear the 7890 do what I call a battle cry, and that's that loud screech. Once it gets down to a certain point, you will hear that streak. So that's the 7890 battle cry. White's laying down pretty good from what I can tell so far, but that's why I wanted to show you that cover so that you could see. I wanted to open the cover so that you could see just how that ink lays down when it first comes out without waiting until it's down here. And again, this is a real-time print. A lot of people have commented in the Facebook groups and things of that nature, and they ask, why do y'all time-lapse it? Like, how fast is the printer? What type of print head does it have? 7890 has a DX5 in it. We're using big boy inks. Again, I have to shout them out because they have good products, man. You know, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. So check them out. And I think he has a deal. I think that 125 for a I don't know how many. I don't know what the count is on that, but it's not a liter bottle, but it's smaller than a liter, whatever that count is. But look at how vibrant that white is laying down. I just came into the shop, cut the camera on, and started talking. Did my power clean. All of this is organic because what I want for you is to be able to see the truth about DTF printing. I'll have a white toner video coming out soon, and I'm not going to bash white toner too badly, but it's because it's just, I'm being honest. So it's there. There's that battle cry. It means it's ready to go, man. So but that's just the vacuum. When it gets to a certain point, it starts to suction the film at a certain point. We are using talking a million miles a minute, but we are using DTG Pro Film. This isn't a promotion, anything like that. I'm still trying to get some things worked out with them. They've asked me to consider doing some work for them. but I usually don't try to talk about things until they come to fruition. So we weren't given this role or anything like that. Kingdom DTF, the roles that they had were a matte role, and so with the matte roll, that's why we were getting the head strikes. Notice I ripped the purple tape off. So if you're using the purple tape because your head was striking the film like mine was, we can now ascertain from that it's the film. I love Kingdom DTF, has nothing to do with that. I'm a partner, I'm partnering with them, but I still have to tell the truth. So again, this isn't about money, it's about the progress of print. So when I ordered the DTG Pro film, it basically, I didn't have to change anything. I don't even think I changed the platen gap, honestly. I didn't set the platen gap to widest. I didn't have to do anything just because of the film. So if your head is striking on one of these 7890, 7900, I guess 9880, 9800, that series that looks like this, you will likely find that the culprit is the film, but you won't know that unless you order two $200 rolls of film, which most people aren't gonna do. So we will let this finish out. I'm not gonna speed it up or time lapse it. I want you to see exactly how long it takes to print this so that you can see, okay, if I had 30 caps, this would be my workflow. Okay, I've spent the X amount of time setting up the artwork, because what I envision for you guys is to don't take my word for it. If you found me to be helpful to you in some way, I appreciate that, but at the same time, my word isn't law. I'm still navigating this thing. I'm still learning every day. I'm talking to people who know more than me about this, because that's the only way to get better, to get proficient, if you will, at what you're doing. Because I have a responsibility to the community. I have to become better with my process so that by the time I'm here right now filming this video for you guys, when that print comes off of there, I have the confidence that it's going to be absolutely perfect. And so that has nothing to do with my intellect or me as a person. It has something to do with how I approach business and I approach things. So this isn't a rant. Excuse me. So this isn't a rant or anything like that. It's just the level of elegance that I want to bring to the table. And once I become a supplier, once all of that is ready, we're still ironing out the minor details and everything. But once that's ready, I'll already have a slew of maintenance videos and things of that nature. So no matter where you order your DTF printer from, I just want you to have sound information, and I want you to know the truth of what to expect with these printing systems. And that, Print Society, is the reason why I'm going to eventually make a DTF versus white toner video, because I still get comments from the white toner lovers that tell me certain things. That's okay. And I'm not even coming against them, but my mindset is that they're approaching this with the wrong mindset. But we don't have to all agree on anything. But I want you to see the truth between DTF and white toner, because most people aren't going to show you a real-time print. With white toner they can, because that's where the printer shines, is how fast they can spit them out. But the quality of the prints, I would much rather this be slower, and I still finish my job today, but the customer is going to come back, just like this customer, the Cardenas, the Raptor Cardenas excavation. They love the shirts, the dry fits that I did a year ago, and they came back. So it's not necessarily an issue of white toner versus DTF. It's an issue of what you value most. Do I want to just say that my printing company can print on 8 different types of media? And 3 of those types of media that you can of the 8 are not gonna wash well. Like, that's backwards. I'd rather say that I only do 2 or 3 things, but I do them extremely proficiently, so that when you go to wash this, if the cap gets dirty and they just happen to spot clean it, that it's not gonna peel or crack or something like that. So it's that's important to me, and to some people that's not important. It's just pump them out and that's good enough. No, I want you to wash my shirts 80 times and never want to buy another shirt from anyone else. So that's not even a rant. That's just what I envision for my business. And if you're the same, I applaud you. So I don't want to sell you. I don't want to sell you a $10,000 printing system and then either not walk with you after the sale, or even give you some type of maintenance videos or something to start with. So I'm done talking about that. We are finished. Let's cut this. And again, 1 take. So let's see here. Try not to smudge it. I'll ruin, the work we just did. So look at that fine detail. You see the white behind it? Look at those colors. This is with no ICC. And if you want to see the print side, try not to let this touch. This is what I call perfect white. Look at the white laying down. Big boy inks. DTG Pro Film. I have confidence that even with these red caps, when we go to press these things, we're ready to go. So I'm gonna powder this. We'll go over there and cure it, and I'll show you how I've been curing these prints on the large format press until we get some sort of curing unit or something in. Oh, I figured that I might as well show you how I powdered this. I'm actually going to get a larger bin at some point. Or really, I should get a powder shaker, but we will eventually end up outgrowing the space. I mean, we all know it up here, so it's at some point we will outgrow the space, and when that happens, I'll have this in an entirely separate room where we will run these through a commercial powder shaker and curing unit. Alright, powdered, and we'll take this over to the large format press so you can see how I've done this. And I have a piece of plywood with some butcher paper here, and then I just use this Teflon sheet here. And all I'm doing, I set the press to 999 seconds, and I just want to close this. I'm probably not low enough for that camera angle, but I'm just lowering this as close as I can get to the film without it actually touching. And that's how I've been curing the entire yards of film. Fumes aren't too bad, to be honest with you. They somehow end up drifting off into this piece on the ceiling where they didn't quite cut that accurately. But that's where we are right now. I may get a fume extractor. This always blurs when I try to do this, but I hope it's focused or whatever. But I just don't have the room. I'll be honest with you. Yes, I have a shop. I'm no longer in the garage or anything at home or anything like that. But I'm still working on limited space. But we make it work, and we are here until we expand. So help us get there. I appreciate the support. But even if I bought a powder a curing unit, where would it go? Unless I went and ran the printer like back here or something and faced it that way, but it's just too loud. We still have to run an exhaust deal, and it's just too. I'd rather a building, a warehouse, be set up for that. So keep up with us in a year, and this will be interesting to go back this time next year, because we will execute. It's going to happen. And that's not pride, it's just a determination. I know where we're headed, and I will continue to give back. Now that I'm monetized, I need to make that video. I'm still trying to perfect this process with DTF, but when I do it, I'm telling you, it's going to go viral in the DTF, at least in the DTF community. I know that for a fact. So I'm going to spend this week trying to fine tune it so that it's easy for you to do it too. But when I show you how to do this, it's going to be crazy. So let's get back to the video. I have an issue with the press, and I'll put this on a mount and probably move this out so that we could be efficient with this thing. So this press, I got it, I think the site's called Tool Lots or something like that, and it's not even plugged up right now, but it did come with, excuse the mess, we've been going all over the place. So we have an upper and lower platen. I'm thinking about using this one for the trucker caps. I'll just see how well each platen fits. So we'll need to actually take these off. So this is what I don't like about the press, because you have like a washer, there's a washer somewhere in the, yeah, there's a washer there that controls the front, but the yaw, I guess you would call it, the yaw on it, it's not really stable, because you have to tighten both of these at the same time and thread the lower part of the platen. So this would actually be this way. So this will be the lower part of the platen, and it also comes with the upper part of the platen that you exchange, which for this one, it's going to be this one here. So this is for a wide panel. So we'll get this hooked up. I guess I'll record myself doing that too, so you can see how cumbersome this is. But aside from having to change the platens out, that's the only beef that I have with this. I mean, it lines up pretty fairly. When you go to press it, has decent downforce. Also, what I learned the hard way was when you go to press this thing, if you're not careful, you will burn your knuckles. I mean, I have big hands, I guess, so that sucks for me. Maybe if you're a lady, you might not have that issue, but I don't like that design. Look how close that is. And I kind of singed my knuckles a little bit the first time I used it. But aside from that, wonderful press at the price that you get it for. Because the other day when I did that dry fit, the 4-hour video, if you missed that, I was going to use this for the polos. I've done it before. Just drape it over. Or when we've done these bags, how I did this was I just unzipped the pocket, threaded it like this, put a piece of foam underneath it, and then I was able to press, it's not really straight, but I was able to press, the heat press the DTF transfer on these bags. But I wasn't really doing a whole lot of YouTube stuff back then. But so it's done its job. We've gotten the use out of it, and that's what matters most. You know, I would recommend getting something like this. It's versatile. That way you can tell your customers that you can offer certain things, but after you advance, just upgrade your equipment and sell it, and just let the person know why you know the quirks about it. Be honest. So we're gonna move ahead and forge onward. Let's get this tripod set up. I'll go ahead and record myself setting up this press. We'll smash these caps out and get on to doing the dry fits and everything, but I won't include all of that other stuff in this video. This video will strictly be for the caps, so stay tuned. Okay, I hope you can see everything well. Let's get this plugged up first, I guess, before we get started. Okay, that should be good to go. Now, I probably should have unplugged this first, but let's see. First, let's see which platen we're gonna go with. Let me grab one of these caps here. So here's our cap, and I'm just trying to remember to flip the inner sweat band on the inside of this panel down. Oh, and this is the District brand flat bill cap, if you didn't already see that from the screen share. And I'm just trying to make sure that the curvature of this platen matches the cap so that we don't have a pocket of air behind here. I still may put some foam behind this. I wonder if I should go with the larger one. Let's see here. So here's the difference if you're thinking about ordering one of these things. I don't benefit, so if I put it in the description, I won't benefit from it or anything. That'll just be if someone wants to buy it, just let me know, and I'll get that information to you. So this is the other platen, lower platen. This one, I don't like the way this feels, so we'll use the smaller one. But the great thing about this press, the benefit to that is that we could, if we wanted to, we have the option to. So what I'll do is I'll start with this lower platen. And now the reason that I do not like this press, or the drawback, okay, that should be about done curing over there, but I'll wait until it beeps to go check on that for the caps. Yeah, see, I have to, it takes too long to, you can't just swap them out. But again, unless your shop is just very high speed and fast pace, if you don't have the time to do this, then you need something like a Stahl's, Hottronics cap press or something like that. That way you can get make sure your workflow isn't affected by having to change the stuff out. Or if you feel like a cap like this, a cap press like this would actually be beneficial to your business, what you could do is you could buy two of these, and then one has one platen, and then you just don't change it out. You know, the other platen has, or the other press has the other platen, and it's still cheaper than a Hottronics unit. So just try to think outside the box and find out what works for you. Okay, now this is moving around a little bit more, so what I want to do is just take this other adjustment washer, I guess we're calling it, a threaded washer. Some of my contractor people, let me know what this is actually called. That way I can know what I'm talking about. So. See, this is just very cumbersome. If you just want that, I mean, we could press the caps without this, but I just want everything to be nice and secure so that the, and I'm right-handed, so I have to do this with my left. It's just very cumbersome. And I'm doing this in real time just so you can see. Again, if you go to buy something, especially if I'm recommending it, I want you to know everything about the thing before you spend a dime. So, okay, we finally got that. And now the daunting task of getting this tight. That's a little bit better. I like that. Yeah, see, that's firm. Make sure everything's straight. And we need to change the upper platen as well. And how we would do that is it's a little, I'll turn this around. And underneath, there's like a another one of those rings, and then the actual assembly just pulls out, or adapter. There we go. So now this half, making sure you can see. Okay, now this has these hooks on the back. You just lift up and you'll kind of wiggle this out. That's the upper platen. This is the cap upper platen that we'll be using. Thread this through, reattach it. Run it through, and then we just need to make sure these actually align. Alright, that's secure. Tighten it up. Then we should be ready to hopefully turn this thing on and get this thing to temp before the large format press sounds as it just did. So we're a little bit late on that, but I was also explaining it for you. So we'll need to adjust that as well. Here we go. If you're wondering about the cure, how it looks, try to focus that. That nice glossy finish. I don't know if you can tell, but these are done and ready for me whenever we finish this. Okay, so the other thing that I don't like about this this video is going to be entitled "Don't Buy This Press." How about that? But no, I like it. I do like it, but there's just so many quirks. So when we go to press this down, so much resistance, and you don't actually adjust the upper platen on this thing. You only adjust the lower one. So it's such a weird setup. So I'm going to loosen this up. Loosen this one up, which would lower this until this front washer hits. Now that's tight again, and we'll see where we're at. That pressure's okay, and I want to get all of this adjusted before we power this on. There's no point in scorching this thing. Next, what I like to do for the caps is I've cut some of this, it's called vapor foam. I've cut some of this down to where it fits on the inside of the cap in a comfortable way, just so we get the even pressure. And I've like dog-eared these ends as you would with like a picket fence. And so I just flip the sweat band down, line the inside of the cap, and what that's going to do is add extra cushion, so when we DTF print this, we get even pressure even if the cap isn't even. So now let's go and try to thread this thing. This particular press has a knob that you, or actually lift up. I'm used to the ones you push down. So you lift up on this one. Don't listen to me. And we're bringing this sweat band here, ensuring that the foam doesn't move. You can press this back down, this lever, or lever, as you guys in the UK say, press this lever down. And just see where that falls. See, it's going to try to smash this out, so now I know I need to come a little bit further out, but I won't be able to utilize this bottom section as a pressing area. So we'll press that and just see how good that pressure is. That's good enough for DTF. And so I think we're ready to power this thing on. I believe it's back here. So we'll let this thing get to temp. Hope you can see that. If you can't, I'll move it. But again, I think for these we are setting this at 340 at 15 seconds. And then we'll also do a repress. Now, I finally got smart and I went ahead and like did a makeshift cutout for the Teflon sheet. So boom, see, watch your knuckles, or watch your knuckles. Okay, so that'll be ready. And I may or may not use some heat tape. Let me trim one of these up and see if we're gonna need some tape or not. Because I don't want that transfer sliding and you'll see like a glue offset mark as if you pressed it too heavily. So just cut that. Because when you're pressing things on for a cap, especially if the letters are supposed to be straight, depending on how this sets, it may look like it's arched. So this is a nice, I like this. Yeah, I like this. So I'm finding out where my center line will be. I think we will tape this. Let me grab this roll. And as I mentioned before, coming from the contractor world, you know, we have a saying that you measure twice and you cut once. So you know what that means. Why go through all the steps of color, output, ink limit percentages, and make it power cleanings and maintenance, and then when it comes to the final product that the customer gets, the thing's crooked, or you know, it just makes no sense to go through all of those steps and say, oh, you know, I don't want to use this I don't want to have to use any tape because it costs, you know, that costs extra. That's part of my overhead. You know, you can't really, I've seen people do that. And so if you are worried about that, just put one strip of tape. See, that's enough to keep it fastened. But yeah, I really like how this sets on here. I hope you can see that well. I'll show you after we're finished, but we're gonna wait for this to get to temp. I don't know if this will sit here, but once it comes back to temp, I will come back and continue this video. And while that's going, I'm gonna go back over here to the computer and prepare the files that'll be for the polos, which again, it won't be in this video. I'm gonna spare you that. This is strictly for caps. So that's what I'll be doing on that. So stay tuned. Okay, I believe we are at temp here. I hope we are at temp. We've got this covered and set up already. Now, what I will be doing is in between these presses, I can actually go in and start taking the cardboard inserts out of the other trucker caps. But our pressure's fine. Make sure nothing's shifted around. The platen's there. Nice pressure from what I believe. We'll do a cold peel on this. Okay. Okay, so none of that shifted around. And we can just see, that's why we put that. See how that foam is bent? It absorbed the pressure. Now what would have happened if we didn't put this foam in there is possibly when we went to press, it would actually make it flat and you would see some of the adhesive spread along the cap. So I'm just gonna give this a wave, let the air hit it. I'm gonna actually rest this against the glass. It's cold enough for me. See how we did? Beautiful. Beautiful. We're gonna press this one more time because it has that slick feel. And they're not gonna wash it or whatever, but just to be thorough with DTF, I need to go ahead and do this again. Press this one more time. So we'll put our foam back in. And again, we're just lining the cap. It's already bent forward in terms of the sweatband. Pulling it down, making sure this is down since it ran into the bill last time, the bill of the cap. It did a little bit that time too, so I'll pull it down a little bit further next time. It doesn't have to be too crazy, just a quick pre-press or quick repress. All right. Nice, into the fibers. Let me see how close I can get to this thing. Is it focusing? I have an issue with the focusing sometimes. Yeah. So that is a DTF trucker cap. wanted you to see a real-time workflow here. And so as these are coming off, actually I shouldn't have removed this. We're going for the second press here. I didn't want the entire thing to be a time lapse here. Just covering for the second press. While I'm pressing that, I'm making sure it's cool, rubbing it against the glass. You could just air, fan it. It's ready. No need to pre-press these caps because there's no moisture in them. So try to eliminate as many steps as possible. Take that out. Load another one. While that's pressing, grab another one. And I'm internally timing myself because I should be finished with this by the time that second hit. Around 8 seconds should be. So remove this, tuck the brim back in, toss it over into the pile. This one's already ready to go. So an ideal workflow, especially if you're by yourself, should be that you never stop doing something. So I almost burned myself trying to talk here. But the ideal workflow is to always be doing something. So ask yourself while you're working, what could I be doing while this timer's going? So while that's going, and so I'm setting many goals, like internal goals that I want for myself. So I'm telling myself I should be done laying that or inserting that foam into that cap by the time this sounds. And then I'm like, okay, well, after this comes off of the platen here, so I'll tell you once I go to do it. So I'm going to tape the second one, and I'll explain what's going on in my head here. So this is locked in. Have our layout, taping it, and right about here, I'm telling myself, as soon as I slam this shut, so as soon as I slam this shut, I'm grabbing this and making sure it's cool, rubbing it on the glass, and then I know once the timer hits 7 seconds, I should already have had this peeled. Perfect timing. Letting this cool. So now, once that comes off, this is ready for the second press, and you just keep juggling that. And that is how I was able to do all of this in a matter of maybe 30. Oh, that's impossible. I have 30 caps, so there's no way I did all of this in 30 minutes. So roughly the entire process in an hour. So then, for those of you who really care about how you time yourself, I would say that if you still value your time as money, as a business owner, it's not necessarily realistic, because you have to, your job never stops. You never stop working. So because your job never stops, you shouldn't rather think as the same way as a wage worker, because you still have operational things that you have to think about, as well as if you have employees working for you, you have to think of that as well. So when you're an entrepreneur, you can't necessarily think about, or you shouldn't rather, think about how long did this job take me to do. That's important, but what's most important is the quality first, making sure everything is right before it goes out. And secondly, making sure that your workflow is moving efficiently, because none of this will matter if the customer gets it and it's not right, because you won't have any workflow at all because you have no customers. So that's the idea behind that. So this is it here. Those are all the caps. Now I can go through, smash the backs of these. So here's our caps. Oh, that's really good. You can see the fibers. Rich colors. This is 7890. I may have, see, even with the foam, I'm glad I'm saying this for the first time. So even with the foam, if you look at the arm closely, always going to be transparent with you guys. If you look at the foam, it helped, but it wasn't perfect. So I may go with the thicker foam. But yeah, I'll smash those up like so. Stack them the way that they came. Rebag them. And we'll get started on these. I didn't want to record myself doing these. We're going to do the new logo that you probably saw me sizing earlier, and then the number underneath it and the name on this side. And so I may or may not record myself doing that. That'll probably be on the Patreon if I end up doing that. Thank you for all of... Okay, I stopped the camera. So thank you for all of the love and support I really appreciate you guys helping me get monetized. I couldn't do it without you. And we will continue to rock this thing out as our printers and stuff start to come in. Thank you for being a part of the Print Society. I appreciate you no matter where you're watching this from, rather. And as always, stay elegant.